Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Um, been wanting to do this video for a couple of days, and I kind of have this charity thing I have to go to here in a little while. So I thought, well, just got home from work, so before I even get into everything, I want to shoot this video real quick, and then I'll go change and get out of here because I've been really wanting to post this. And it's just kind of just starting in on the series that I mentioned in my last video or video before last, where I wanted to do more videos based off of subscribers and subscribers request of just things they wanted me to show, talk about, answer, or curious about, whether it's in my collection or just in my head or kind of whatever. So yeah, this is kind of be the first one of those. I know there was a few questions that came in on some other videos, but if you have any whatsoever, just let me know what they are in the comments down below. And I have a little book that I have here that I'm going to write down every single one of them, and eventually I'm going to answer every single one of them. So just kind of, um, just a way that I want to communicate more with my subscribers as opposed to just showing things, but actually talking music and talking about the stuff you guys actually maybe want to hear about. So gonna do three today, and we'll start off here with Bill, Michigan Record Club, where he said, I love the '60s and '70s, and wanted to know, did any of that music influence me as a child of the '80s? I would say in general, heck yeah, some of the greatest music ever. I wasn't quite sure how you were asking that question though. If you were curious, where did '60s and '70s music kind of send me to a certain area in the '80s, or just in general has it influenced, even though I was born in the '80s and grew up on the '80s, did '60s and '70s kind of influence my overall musical life? um, I guess when I was growing up, when it comes to my introduction to rock music, and I've told this story a bunch of times about my dad getting a new job and moving to an area where none of my friends looked like me, I didn't look like them, and different backgrounds, I knew nothing about rock music, and they just started sharing all this stuff with me. So when I was in, fifth, sixth grade, I learned about kind of rock music all at once. So it wasn't like I was just in the '80s and then all of a sudden I got introduced to the '70s and discovered that, and then got introduced to, metal or whatever. For me, it was kind of like all at the same time. I had Billy Idol, Cyndi Lauper, The Fix, and all of that coming at me the exact same time. I had Warrant, Kiss, AC/DC, and all that coming at me the exact same time. I had The Who, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and all that coming at me. So for me, it wasn't a very segmented type of development musically. It was just like, here it all is all at once. Always equated to that scene in the first Matrix when Neo was getting all of the jujitsu and everything downloaded him. He was just like sitting in that chair for hours and hours with his eyes closed, just twitching because he was taking in all that info. That was pretty much me from like sixth grade to ninth grade, somewhere in there musically. It was just one big eye twitching download because so much music came into my world then, and some of that was '60s and '70s rock. Now, one thing I will say about '60s and '70s rock is, as I've developed more as a music lover and been exposed to more music, not just talking about '60s and '70s, but just in general, being exposed to more music, it seems like the more music I know, and the wider my net comes with the different stuff I like and learning about different stuff, the more that '60s and '70s seems to gain more and more respect to me. Uh, so, that's something I find kind of interesting in my development of music. Not even saying like I've discovered new '60s and '70s music that I respect so much more, but even the stuff that I've always known for years and years and years and liked, it just has become stronger and stronger in the level of respect that I have for it. Especially if you're talking about everything from your Motowns and stuff like that on the R&B side, to your, your Little Richards, your Chuck Berrys, all, and then of course the '70s hard rock and all that, your Deep Purples and everything else. I mean, yeah, that's just a sector of music and a time frame that, quite frankly, it's just unmatched, you know. And maybe another easy way to put that is, I've always said, with where music is now, you will have groundbreaking albums that come out. You'll have an Appetite for Destruction. You'll have a Nirvana Nevermind. You'll have a Metallica Black album. Albums that will be huge. And in some cases, NWA Straight Outta Compton. Some albums that will literally change the direction of music. But one thing I think that we will never have again, you know, I don't think that we will ever have a Blonde on Blonde again. Um, we'll never have a Pink Floyd The Wall again. And I'm not even saying about what music you like more or less. I'm just saying that is the foundation. That's the original. That's something that was done in a time and done in a way and was inserted into our lives in a way that no other albums can. If no other reason, things are just so diluted now. You know, so you can have an album that can be the new all-time bestseller of all times and everything else. In my opinion, it's probably still never going to be a Blonde on Blonde. It won't. It can't. Unless you came out in that era, you can't do it. So 60s and 70s kind of hold a special place for me in that regard. I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm kind of trying to keep that answer somewhat short there towards the end. On to the next question of, let's see, Dairy Six String Nine Lives. What is that Overkill box set? Good question. I guess referring to this little box set back here. Everything on this shelf is all of my homemade stuff. So all the little box sets I'm putting together and little craft projects I like to do. I always keep forgetting too. I see it in the videos all the time. I need to go back and repair those jewels that fell off the part of the K, and always on the Kiss, and I keep forgetting to do that. But but yeah, this is just kind of my just little craft things I like to put together. I have a lot of fun doing that, and that Overkill is just studio album CD box set I'm working on. So once I get that all together, I will make a video kind of sharing the final product there. Next, we'll go to Joe Slam, which kind of had a number of questions. A couple of them I'll go into a little more details than the other, but you said talk about what I have by Susan Vega, Tracy Chapman, or John Cougar Mellencamp, and my thoughts on Miles Davis. Do I like his earlier or later stuff? And then one really good question I'll sum up here at the end. You said talk about any racial situations that I've experienced by being black at like a concert or a record store or something like that. I guess kind of in light of the type of music that I like. So yeah, that's a very good question. I'm definitely I'll answer that kind of here at the end. When it comes to Vega and Tracy Chapman, I mean, I like what I like by them. I'm not like gigantic. I'm not a gigantic fan where I know all the ins and outs of their discography and all of that stuff. But just have a couple albums by each one of them. I have Vega there. One of the first albums I bought too. I got this out of a dollar bin, like when I first started collecting. And then of course you have Tom's Diner. This is featuring DNA. That was something that was kind of big when I was in high school. That's kind of when I first actually learned about Susan Vega, was through that song. And then I later discovered this album here and learned about Luca and kind of some of the mainstream stuff. But that's pretty much what I have by her. And again, I'm not extremely knowledgeable on her as an artist outside of those three things that I like. And same thing with Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman, if I can say that right. Here you have Crossroads. Good album by her. I love that photo on the back. That's one of my favorite photos of her. It's not showing up as well on the computer there, but it's just I don't know, she put that on the cover. It's just a really good shot of her. Definitely some stuff on there that I love, but this is still my favorite album by her, and definitely probably her more popular one, I guess. And my favorite song is Fast Car. I mean, one of her more, kind of cliche, if you will, big hits, but that was a song actually when it first came out, I couldn't stand it. But as I grew older and actually matured a little bit, being able to understand the emotions behind it, the storytelling, the just kind of the dramatic amount of hopefulness, if you will, that is inserted into that song with the way she's telling and singing it. It's just one of those songs I had to kind of mature into, and definitely my favorite by her. And of course, you got to love that album cover. Pretty classic. So that's kind of my Susan Vega, Tracy Chapman, John Cougar Mellencamp. Love him to death. One thing I'll say about John, and one thing I'll kind of say about myself, I'm the kind of person that I truly love my country. Okay, I feel extremely blessed to be living in this time in this country, as there are billions and billions of people now and through the course of history that will never have the benefit of living a life to the level that I've been allowed to live life up to this point. Um, and I'm by far am not the wealthy person. I'm not the rich person. I have my struggles like everyone else, but I know with what a lot of people have experienced on this planet, I've been pretty darn blessed to be where I am. And so one of the things that I really kind of connect with and I like is when there are artists that can sing and share and bring out elements of what I think is kind of foundational of this country. And it could be of other countries too, depending on your experience. But I'm talking about for me and kind of America. And I think John Cougar Mellencamp is one of those artists that does that as well as anyone. Bruce Springsteen is another one. And when I say singing about the country, I'm not talking about just like, the yay part. I'm also talking about like the struggles, like, the tough times that the country has been through and that people experience and the things that just, breaks people's backs. And, it's all part of that good and bad is what gives us the foundation to be whatever it is that we grow to be. So again, considering I love my country, I love experiencing through music and emotions the good times and the bad times. And so, John is a guy who does that very well. Now, I'll just show you a couple pieces of what I have by him here. This is his box set. Just a CD box set with all the studio albums there. I pulled out the little cards so you can get a good view of kind of what's all in there. So kind of a cheaply made set. I mean, it's very basic, if you will. Kind of a cardboardish, very light cardboardish lid there. No extra anything. It's just kind of all the studio albums. Simple mini LP cases. No extra anything. But it gives you all the studio albums, and it's just kind of a decent little set and very inexpensive set. And one of the things I like to do is whenever I get sets with all the studio albums, I like to make it a point to kind of listen to them from front to back. So that's just kind of the one turn backwards there showing where I'm at right now and going through the John Cougar set. And then you also have, which is kind of part of the same, I got that in there backwards, but you also have this LP box set. Now this doesn't have all the studio albums, which would be kind of cool, but it does have these 5, including Scarecrow, one of my favorite albums. But this is the exact same thing. It's just kind of, cardboard case, no extra anythings. But again, it was a pretty inexpensive set. I think I got it a few years ago. It was like $69 off of Amazon for five LPs. And it's nice too because even though the box may be kind of simple, as you can see there, it's 180-gram vinyl pressings from the original tapes. So, the sound quality of the set is fantastic. But yeah, like I said, when you have stuff like, songs like Small Town, which, John is kind of singing about that positive nature and feeling that someone has of growing up in a small, tight-knit community and just kind of, take care of each other and just the values that I've learned from that, just how it establishes who he is as a person. I love that positive nature of, that's America, if you will, while at the same time, Rain on the Scarecrow, where everything's falling under and we're losing the family farm and, life is it's breaking our backs. It's killing us. That's also part of the greatness of America, And so just the fact that he's able to jump around and cover those type of things makes me really connect with his music. And one other thing I'll show here, I have a few other LPs, but I forgot to kind of pull out some of the neat things by him. We'll go with Words and Music. It's kind of a 2 CD greatest hit set. If you don't have any other John Cougar Mellencamp in your collection, this is one solid piece to have. 2 CDs, 36 songs, and just really all of his great hits. Jack and Diane, The Small Town, Crumbling Down, Rockin' in the USA, Pop Singer, on and on and on. Oh, Ain't Even Done with the Night, which arguably is my favorite John Cougar Mellencamp song. That's just, everything is beautiful about that song, from the storytelling inside of it to the way those 2 guitars and the bass are working off of each other. It's just, oh man, just takes you back to kind of like the the pure, exciting, confused innocence of youth. You know, it's just like he totally captures that in that song. So that's John Cougar. Miles Davis, do I like earlier or later albums? I pretty much like it all. I definitely like a lot of his traditional stuff, but I probably am a bigger fan of his more "What are you smoking" stuff. You know, the bitches brew and stuff like that. More of his kind of towards free jazz stuff. But yeah, my favorite albums, you know, with Bitches Brew, In a Silent Way, um, Carnegie Hall's another great album. Kind of Blue, of course, legendary. But even in some of his latter stuff, like Under Arrest and that type of thing, you know, his cover of Michael Jackson's Human Nature on that, that's only a hair away from being almost free, not free jazz, smooth jazz. But still, it's just kind of Miles heard something beautiful in it, and I kind of hear what he heard. So yeah, with Miles, it's just one of those things where if you find a Miles Davis album and you don't like it, don't fret. Just look 5 albums behind it or 5 albums after it, and you'll definitely find something in there that you love. I mean, that's kind of Miles. So the last part, talk about any racial situations that I've experienced being black, like at a concert or a record store or anything. And I'm assuming, of course, that's being asked because, again, the type of music that I like, you know, really being in the metal and hard rock, and that's usually not an environment that you typically find a lot of black people. And I can tell you with the years and years and years, and I don't know how many concerts I've gone to, with a good 90% of all the concerts that I go to or have gone to are metal or hard rock concerts. And I'm, you know, usually one of anywhere from 2 to maybe the most I've ever seen is about 20, and that was at a Metallica concert. 1 to 20 black people that might be at one of these shows. I have never experienced one single incident of anything negative racially or anything like that whatsoever. Um, and I'm going to share a couple things here too, which I think may be also kind of good based on what we're kind of going through in the country right now, and maybe just kind of some attitudes that I would suggest to people in a way. But I'm going to do it through the this means of music and kind of this great question. You know, this like I mean I have ever been to a record show and walked up to a table and a guy goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah, it's going good. How you doing? Doing good. Everything here is, you know, two for five, or, you know, three for blah blah blah, and you know, right over here we have all hip hop and R&B right through this area here. Like, have I ever had that happen? Yes. And so some people might look at that and say, well, that person was like profiling or whatever, because, you know, he saw you had, you know, you're black, so he just assumed you're the R&B thing, and that's just kind of like profiling. And to me, it's like, shut up. That's not. It's like, no, that's kind of common sense. I mean, we want to say that it's this great thing to put ourselves in this, you know, everything's just a blank slate and you don't know anything about anyone, or it's bad to make any assumptions about anyone. Bullshit. Okay. I mean, there are certain things that certain groups of people tend to be more attracted to or involved in, or whatever the case may be. Okay, if I'm running a record store, if I'm has a table at a shop, and I see 2 black guys walking towards my table in just jeans and a t-shirt, and I see 2 white guys walking towards my table, let's say they have on tight fitted jeans and ripped that are kind of ripped up, and both of them have long straight hair all the way down to the middle of their back, I am going to assume, in all likelihood, those 2 white guys are probably hard rock metal guys. These 2 black guys are probably not hard rock metal guys. That's not a negative thing. That's not a, you know, whatever. That's just, as living beings, we're in this world, we observe, we see patterns, and those patterns form expectations. Now, if you take that to do something negative with it, that's a whole different story. But a guy saying that to me, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, where's your metal and hard rock section? And he goes, oh, right over here. So what are you looking for? Okay, that's how people get to know each other. I mean, that's just interactions. And so, beyond that, if anyone could call that negative, which I don't, I've never had a negative experience. Matter of fact, just the opposite. I think the fact that I'm black and I go to these type of concerts and that type of thing, it actually produces a more of a positive experience, you know, because I have met so many people that have become friends that I've continued to talk to afterwards, that have become clients of mine, um, and just positive experiences all the time, and they almost always start the exact same way, almost every time. And it is someone, I'll be standing there, and someone will go, "Cool T-shirt, man." And that's how it starts, like every single time. Next thing you know, we're buddy buddy, and we're talking. After the concert, we go hang out for a bit. Blah blah blah. Cool T-shirt, man. That's how it starts. And so, a few weeks ago, I went to see Godsmack, and it was Shine Down and Godsmack, which I Godsmack for like the 14th time I've seen them. But I wore my Static X T-shirt when I saw them in concert. I'm standing there waiting for the show to start. Sure as crap, a guy standing up there comes up to me. "Cool T-shirt, man." I was like, "Oh yeah, you gotta love the X." And yeah, I saw them back in blah blah, and we're chatting and we're going. And next thing you know, we're sharing stories. Next thing you know, we're walking back to the cars and kind of yapping. And it was one of those. This was like 3 hours away from where I live, and it's just kind of one of those. Nice meeting you, man. All right, you have a safe ride home. All blah blah. Great experience. I went to see Metallica, wearing my Slayer T-shirt. "Cool T-shirt, man. Husband and wife. Cool T-shirt, man. Oh, thanks." And he even said, "That's just so cool. Like you never see black guys wearing Slayer T-shirts. That's just so freaking awesome." We started talking and this and that, and they become clients, you know, and still have that relationship going after all this time. And so it's always been a very very positive thing. And I think one of the keys for that is, it's just not to get caught up in. Well, actually, I'm going to go down that route because I don't want to make this too long. But all I'm going to say is, if you go into situations where you expect negativity to come your way, you have an expectation that I'm going to put something negative on you before you've even said anything or even interacted with me. I'm going to put something negative on you. It is virtually a guarantee you will find something that comes from that person that you can make negative, even if they didn't intend it. It's a guarantee. I go into those situations with just the opposite attitude. I go into those situations to say, and again, I'm not looking for, but if you just ask me what's my experience and what's kind of my subconscious expectation, it's like, I'm going to meet some cool people tonight. I'm going to meet someone new. I'm going to hear some different stories, and I'm going to talk music all night long with someone I never would have if I wouldn't have been a black guy here wearing this T-shirt or at this concert or whatever else. And somehow that just always seems to happen. There's a positive interaction. The way I kind of feel about that too is, how the heck can I judge when every time I go to a concert, I find it interesting to count and look for other black people at these concerts. When I went and saw Slayer, Napalm Death, Lamb of God, Testament with a friend of mine, I was pointing it out. It's like, oh, good, there's two black girls over there. I can't remember the last time I saw a black girl at a metal concert like this. That's freaking awesome. And I'm like, okay, hey, there's 11 of us. There's 12 of us. And I think I count like 13 at that concert, which actually kind of surprised me a little bit. But it's just kind of a cool thing because just typically you just don't see a lot of black people there. That's just kind of a fact. That's not a racial thing. So yeah, in that regard, it's always been a very very positive thing, and that's one thing that I have to say that, again, kind of in light of the times that we're in, which is a great reason why I was really happy why you asked that question. That's what we need to get back to. We have to stop being so surfacey with each other, and have to start kind of understanding a person can have a statement or can say something instead of just jumping on them because, oh, you said you like this, or you're wearing this T-shirt, or you're just take it one step further, and truly with an open mind ask, huh, what is it about that you like actually try to get to know people, because I think if you do that and you leave yourself open to be known as well, it's just amazing what you end up finding, with communicating with people. and that's been my attitude with the rock and metal thing, and me being a kind of a black guy in that world. It's it's just awesome. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not gonna lie, it's just freaking awesome, and I'm proud to carry that torch. So so yeah. Anyway, again, very good questions. Those are the first three there. Leave comments below. Anything else that you want to ask? Again, showing anything, talking about anything, especially kind of deep questions like that. I mean, that's even that's a lot of fun to talk about. I have no problem sharing any of that stuff. So let me know what you think, VC, and we will talk to you soon.